I don't know what I'm saying anymore. None of that makes sense. Hey y'all, and welcome to my channel. It's June, which means it's Pride Month. So, happy Pride Month. And I thought, in the spirit of being queer and in the spirit of it being Pride Month and all that, that I would talk to you about the best queer books I have read so far this year. So I've read a grand total of 27 books this year, and of those 27, 13 have been gay hockey romances. So that's a lot of what I'm about to tell you about. But hey, I have found it's okay. So it's been up and down, right? So some of the gay hockey romances that I have read this year have been some of the worst books I've ever read. Hands down. On the other hand, though, I have read some of the best romance novels that I have ever read that just so happened to be hockey romances. So, take from that what you will. I'm going to tell you about them. So here we go. Okay, so the first book I'm going to tell you about is Unrivaled by Ashlyn, Kane, and Morgan James. This was a 5-star. This was a 5-star read. This is the third book in the Hockey Ever After series, which I highly recommend. If you are into sports romances, especially if you actually know hockey and like understand gameplay and or the business of sports, you will love this series, because I have read some very questionable hockey and hockey romances, and sometimes it's so bad that it just takes me out of the story completely, and I wish that it wouldn't do that, but it does. So in those cases, it's not what I'm looking for, right? So the Hockey Ever After series, though, you can tell that it is written by people who know and understand hockey, which I appreciate. And in the Hockey Ever After series, it's all about each book in the series is between two players. So there is a lot of hockey in it. So if reading about actual gameplay of the sport and your sports romances aren't your thing, maybe this won't be your thing, but I think it will be regardless. But maybe that's me just being biased. But the hockey is good hockey. And maybe Unrivaled is a 5-star read for me because it's my favorite trope of all time. How can you really resist rivals to friends with benefits to lovers? With like more things sprinkled in there, but like that's the main through line. And wow, what a good through line it is. It's my favorite thing of all time. Like, enemies with benefits is a little rough for me, because I'm like, enemies? Like, I don't have love for my arch nemesis, period. But my rival, ooh, tension. So anyway, this book is about Grady Armstrong, who is a rival player to Max Lockhart's team. Grady is this like straight-laced, I wouldn't say quiet, maybe a little quiet, but like good boy. He's a good boy. And then you've got Max Lockhart, who is this little menace of a man on the ice and who loves to get underneath people's skin. Grady has a tough family situation, right? And so his sister is kind of like his parental figure. She asks him if he's been dating anybody. And he's like, no, I don't really date. And she's like, well, maybe you should. So she takes his phone, creates a dating profile for him. Max and Grady are getting ready to play a game. So they're in the same city. And our good boy Max is on Grindr. Sees that he has matched with somebody who is impersonating Grady Armstrong. So he dares them to meet up in the arena, like, hookup area. Because apparently that exists in this universe. I wonder if it exists in real life. Much to be considered. But anyway, he dares Grady to show up. And Max, was not expecting for the real Grady to show up. And for some reason, neither of them leave. They're just like, okay, I guess we're here. Let's go. So they go, and it's great. Good for them. I love that for them. Truly. So then Max tells Grady about how Grindr is a hookup app and not a dating app. And so then he's like, what if I help you actually, like, date, since you're trying to do that? And Grady's like, okay, why not? Whatever. Fine. So somewhere down the line, with seeing each other and talking to each other so much, with this whole helping Grady date thing, Max catches little feelings. Yeah. Catches little feelings. And sweet boy, the pining is so good. Like, the yearning, the pining. It's delicious. And at one point, Max offers to, like, take Grady on, like, a practice date, because all of his dates so far have been, like, absolutely disastrous. And let me tell you about how I will never in my life forget the American Ninja Warrior scene. And I can't explain that to you. You have to read the book. But yeah, like, I will remember it for forever. And it's not even like, that's not even a spicy scene. The romantic tension. And I think that's like, that's what a lot of romance books these days are missing. They're missing the romantic tension. Like, the sexual tension, sure, whatever. Who cares? I'm sure some people care. I'm way more interested in the romantic tension, and this book is rife with it. Another thing about this book is that it's just so grounded and human. And all of the books in this series are, like, extremely grounded in reality and so human. One of the reasons why this book is 5 stars for me is that because by the end of it, I was sat being like, love is real. Wow. Love is real. I want what they have. Period. The next book I'm going to talk to you about is Time to Shine by Rachel Reid. Another 5-star book and another hockey romance. I am who I am. If you have read the Game Changers series, this is the same author as the Game Changers series. I have yet to read the Game Changers series, but it's on my list. I have Heated Rivals on my Kindle. And I plan to read all of those someday, but I have like 150 unread physical books, which I say that out loud. And it is daunting, to be fair. But anyway, Time to Shine, 5 stars. Once again, no notes. Demisexual representation, which I'm all about. I think like a couple books on this list that I'm telling you have demisexual representation, which is beautiful. You don't see that often in books. Like anything on the ace spectrum, you don't really get. But I think we need more. I think we need more of it. This is a super pure, grumpy sunshine, opposites attract. I wouldn't say forced proximity, because it's not really forced. It is chosen, but proximity, because they become roommates. It's about this young, charming, like super laid back superstar winger on the Calgary team, Casey Hicks, and Landon Stackhouse, who is a backup goalie that just got called up from the farm team. Already, you know, it's going to be delicious. A call-up usually doesn't stay on the team for very long because they're just filling in for an injury. So already, you know that that's going to be sort of a conflict point. So when Landon shows up in Calgary from their farm team, Casey just kind of acts like they've always been besties. And Landon's like, I don't know you. Why are you acting like we're best friends? With all of that energy, Casey just kind of like wriggles his way into Landon's little life. And eventually, because he is a call-up from the farm team, he's living in a hotel. And so Casey's like, hey, I just bought this huge house and I'm all alone in it and it has a lot of bedrooms and I hate being alone. So would you like to move in while you're here? And Landon is a little reluctant to say yes, but he does. At least if I remember correctly, he's a little reluctant. But he says yes. They become housemates, spending a lot of time together, getting to know each other. And let me tell you about how my good brother Landon, my good little demisexual brother Landon, has a reckoning in every way that I can mean the word. Also, with the demisexual representation, I want to point out that like it's so good. There's like no weird takes at all about someone having not had sex well into their 20s, which like is pretty normal actually. There's no weird obsession on Casey's part of like wanting to be the first person that Landon has a sexual experience with, which is lovely because it's not that deep. And Landon doesn't have any like weird hang-ups either about never having experienced physical intimacy with anybody, because he just like hasn't experienced desire like that, and he doesn't do things that he doesn't want to do, and I admire that. Yeah, basically the demisexual representation, peak, beautiful, immaculate. We love it. These two also made me believe love is real. A lot of romance books don't do that for me, but this one, Time to Shine, ooh, I want what they got. Like the way these two love each other really has me going insane. Like taking the last shreds of my sanity and throwing it to the crows to devour. Ugh. And the next one we're going to be talking about is New Development by Hannah Henry. This is another 4-star book. It's beautiful. It's sort of a part of a spin-off series of her Delay of Game series. It is a little novella in her side-by-side. I don't know if it's a duet or it might be a duet or it might be a series. I'm not sure. But it's a little spin-off from one of her characters that shows up in the Delay of Game series, which if you have not read the Delay of Game series, I highly, highly recommend. It's like it gives the same thing that Hockey Ever After series gives. This is about Brady Griffin and Cole Fawn, who are in their best friend's wedding party. And it takes place the week before the wedding. So it's wedding week. They're all doing the little parties and all the stuff. But Brady doesn't know that he has a crush on his best friend. He hasn't dug deep enough to realize that maybe he's not as straight as he thought. So he's a little menace, right? Causes a little havoc, throws off the vibes a little bit to make sure that the vibes don't get absolutely rancid. They sort of appoint the other groom's best friend, Cole, to sort of babysit. And so they end up spending a lot of time together, getting to know each other. And then as that goes on, Brady starts to realize that maybe his feelings for his best friend are a little more than platonic. And so Cole is like, do you want to do some experimentation and see if it's not just your homie, but just like a guy thing in general? Maybe we can check it out. So Brady says, okay, sure. Lo and behold, it's not just a thing for his best friend. It's a guy thing. And it is just a beautiful story about queer awakening, becoming, and heeding the call to identity, basically. It's so sweet, so lovely. The last book I want to talk about is the book that I read most recently, and I am still, like, it's still seared in my brain. I loved it. It was so good. It was my first Allie Hazelwood book. Go Off, Queen. And it was her YA book, Check and Mate. Ooh, women in STEM. We love chess. I thought maybe I would want to get into chess after I read it, but it's still the hockey playoffs, so I have other things to be putting my time and attention into. But I have started watching The Queen's Gambit because I hadn't seen it before now. This has both bisexual and demisexual representation, which, beautiful, we love. Our good sis Mallory is a bisexual queen. And I love that it's just like, it's very, very out there. It's very out there in the book and just like not even a thing, you know? It's just like there. As it should be. And then the demisexual representation is our homeboy Nolan. Nolan Sawyer, who is top man, world champion in chess. Again, he's just out here being like, no, I have never had sex with anybody before. And like, it's not a thing. I've like never wanted to, but now I kind of do. So what do you want to do about that? There's no shame in it for him. Like, there's no shame in having never wanted that before. And he's just like, that's how it is. And basically this book starts with, so Mallory had taken a step back from chess for reasons you find out. But her best friend brings her into this charity chess match to be on her team. And unwittingly, she ends up beating the chess world champion, Nolan Sawyer, in this charity chess tournament. And she thought that he was going to be mad, right? But he's really just like, who are you? And like, when can I play you again? I'm like, yes, that is the only correct response. That is the only correct response to Mallory Greenleaf beating you in chess after she was like being a car mechanic. Like, truly, the only correct response. Throughout the book, they have like little one-off encounters with each other, and you just see his like great need to play her again in chess. It's wonderful. The tension is incredible. It's not like the romance is great, but also just like the character growth is beautiful. And yeah, I just highly recommend it. 100%. Those are the best queer books that I have read so far this year. I'm sure there will be many, many more to talk about. In 2024 so far, the lows have been very, very low when it comes to queer stories that I have read. And the highs have been very, very high. So balancing out, I suppose. So I hope you give these books a chance and read them for yourself. Happy Pride Month once again. Thank you for hanging out with me. Be gay, do crimes, and I'll see you in the next one.